Hi, welcome to this episode 4 in the IT Candor channel. Last episode we discussed jump servers. It wasn't super technical, but it was high level to get a conversation started. I also think this episode is going to be changing on that. I really want to talk about, I feel, key core skills that everybody should have and you develop over the course of your career. And if you want a successful career, master these skills. And you won't master them in one day or 1 week. You'll get better at them even year later, 5 years later, 10 years later. Oh my God, 20 years in, and even I still learn things. And I want to pass this knowledge on. And if you are in IT or any career, learn these skills and it will go a very long way. And with that, let's get started with episode 4. Anyone looking into IT or cybersecurity as a career, you'll get a lot of people's ideas, feedback, opinions, and unfortunately often very strong biased opinions. Over the course of a career in any field, you will continue to develop skills. In IT, this could be learning a new development language or designing a solution using a zero trust principle. These skills I like to refer to add-on or upskilling. Add-on is an existing skill. For me, it was learning PowerShell to improve my operation skills. The longer you are in IT, you will eventually find your specialty area. This could be focusing on network security, application security, or helping to set up a SOC for a company along with training their staff. The 3 skills I'm going to address in this episode, I classify as core skills. Core is a good name as these skills improve over your entire career or multiple careers, not just in IT. The first of the core skills is active listening. It's a way of listening that involves full attention of the person who is speaking and asking open-ended follow-up questions. It's also a way of showing respect to a speaker and be able to better interact with the conversations. Anyone in IT will tell you that during meetings, it is all too common these days that someone is typing on their notebook or scrolling on their mobile phones and not really paying attention to the speaker. Candor story time. I was delivering a 3-day workshop, and during the first day, there was a senior person who would type on his computer and pay little attention. I would ask the meeting members for confirmation or decisions, and I ended up having to re-explain the same thing we just discussed because this person chose not to pay attention. The second day, at the start of the meeting, I asked everybody to close their notebooks as they will not need them till after the lunch break. The senior manager opened their notebook after 5 minutes and started typing. Now, I stopped and stood there for about a minute before he noticed and asked, "Is there a problem?" I said, "No, it's okay. We can wait until you're finished." He said, "Continue on," and I told him, "That's not an option. There are 2 options. We can all pay attention to the workshop, or if you have more important tasks that require your attention, then please step out of the meeting room." Now, of course, this person got upset, escalated, and, I really don't care because it shows that they lack the core skills themselves. It is a waste of everyone's time, the company's money, who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to have an expert present, and really it's just plain rude. Now, someone might comment, "But I like to take notes." And to be fair, anyone I've met who takes notes honestly has a physical pen and paper because they themselves understand the importance of active listening. Now, times have changed over the past few years, and most meetings are digitally held online in conference applications that can be recorded, plus the meeting itself has a transcript afterwards. My advice as an active listener is avoid the webcam if you're not going to be paying attention. Better not show yourself on the webcam in those scenarios as it can be distracting, not paying attention, kids coming in the room, yawning or browsing other websites and those type of things. So, even if you're on a digital one, still try to do the same level of respect, and a form of active listening has to adjust. Now, active listening during a cyber incident is critical. In my role, I participate in helping the organization that's under attack. Listening to what the customers are saying is very important. Yes, they may provide too many details or information that's not relevant to the hack, or it may not seem relevant at the time, but could become relevant later. It's important to show you're there to help, and listening can sometimes ease the stress during an incident. The next core skill is effective speaking, which is defined as being able to speak in such a way that is heard and acted upon. I think the second part is especially important, acted upon. I'm not talking about uploading a video like what I'm doing right now. I'm using a teleprompter, I'm reading from a script, and I can re-record if I make a mistake. I'm also not talking about presenting on stage where interacting with the audience responses are claps, cheers, or laughter. I'm talking about the office meetings. This could be 3 or 4 people in a room or an online meeting. Let's assume that your company is going to evaluate 3 endpoint detect and response EDR-based products. And at the end of the presentation, the pros and cons of each product are evaluated. Effective speaking about the product and the outcome of the proof of concept to the leadership team and decision maker is important to the overall understanding and decision of which product they're going to purchase. Another example could be attending a university. A lot of times the final capstone research project requires an oral presentation to be delivered. During my master's degree, we also had to do an oral presentation. However, with COVID at the time, I had to record it like this and send it in that way. Unlike active listening, effective speaking takes more practice. We all use filler words such as okay, like. It takes practice to reduce the use of filler words, which can be very distracting to the audience sometimes. Someone new to IT often deals with imposter syndrome. This can lead to anxiety along with the fear of presenting. Everyone in their IT career is lying if they do not admit that they were worried their first time presenting to a more senior peers. Here's my personal candor moment working in APAC. I remember the first time presenting with a translator while in South Korea. I walk into a room, crazy long table, about 40 people, no introductions. It was difficult to take long pauses and let the translator speak. The conversation occurred between everyone in Korean, which I don't speak. Then the translator comes back to me and says, continue or ask follow-up questions. Assume that someone's going to ask a difficult question that you don't know the answer to. Please don't try and make up an answer. The better response is to ask something like, hey, that's a great question, and at the moment, I'm not sure. Please give me some time to follow up with you and provide an answer. Ensure that you do follow up with the person's questions in a timely manner. This brings us to the third core skill that most IT people admit they do the worst at, which is documentation. There are lots of types of documentation, from figures, tables, comments and codes, flow charts, or lengthy documents. If you ask most people what part of their job they dislike, the answer is going to be documentation. Here's the best advice I can give for those new to their IT career, and use this to your advantage. The best way to learn about your new job or role is to ask for documentation. And there's a good chance it doesn't exist or it hasn't been updated in a very long time. Take this opportunity to either create or update the document. You are validating your own knowledge and understanding of the systems. This may require, additional research on your part to fill in knowledge gaps, but that's a good thing. Second, the team members will most likely be thankful that they didn't have to do it because they don't like documentation. Plus, other managers and business members will be grateful to see this documentation because it hadn't existed or it hasn't been updated. My first candor example is that I've been mentoring my younger brother, and he's done some amazing documentation that everyone heard about in different business units and teams. He also used effective speaking to present his documentation during meetings. My own personal candor moment was when I asked for someone to peer review my design. My colleague informed me it was hard to understand the connecting lines because I used colors like red, green, and blue. He was colorblind and informed me he could not see the difference in the lines. I was caught off guard because I felt my amazing document skills, there's no way he wouldn't like this. But there's always room for improvement. I took the time to research how to create more colorblind friendly presentations, such as not just using a key of what the color lines are, but using different line types or using numbers to label the lines themselves. What I did was I started to do is design all black lines, making sure it was legible using the key, then added colors afterwards. For security expert, a common documentation step skipped is threat modeling. I recently created a threat model which helped to show the different areas where we are able to mitigate different security risks. I'm addicted to Markdown language personally. Being a DevSecOps expert, I try to publish Markdown files as wikis for others to consume. I'd also recommend reading about a tool called Pandoc. As an example, it can convert the Markdown file to a PDF or Word document. This can save you lots of time and hours and get it in multiple formats. These three core skills should be continually developed over the course of one's career, and I advise at any point in time, you should be using at least 2 of these skills regularly. Let's assume you're not ready to present. But this does not stop you from creating amazing documents, allowing someone else to present but give you credit. You can also use active listening during the presentation to hear feedback about the document. Plus, watch the presenter and learn from them. If you have Microsoft PowerPoint, you can use the speaker coach feature. If you stuck around this long, I highly recommend you do a brown bag lunch and watch a video from the late MIT professor Patrick Winston on how to speak, which has more than 14 million views. Even I rewatch it when I feel I need a personal refresher. Now, during this episode, we discussed the 3 core skills of active listening, effective speaking, and the most dreaded, documentation. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to reading comments about how others use these core skills in their career. And until the next episode, be candor.